So when you think of community healers, our next presenters are two of our local communities best. We are just really fortunate to have Emiliano and Scott right here in our backyard. Emiliano is an educator, consultant, and lead trainer for the Resiliency Program at the training place at Butte College. He has co-created and co-leads the new cancer support program at Enloe's Regional Cancer Center and supports youth with the care team. Emiliano is a certified forest therapy guide, which if you haven't tried that, I encourage you to give it a go. I had the opportunity to experience it with Emiliano and it was amazing. And he's currently working with Chico State's EcoTherapy program. Originally from Argentina, he's lived in Chico since 2012 with his wife and his 2 children. Scott Dinits works as the Human Resource Director for the Boys and Girls Club of North Valley and is also co-director of the Ability First Sports Camp. For 18 years, Scott has worked with school districts, community organizations, and service groups, providing a variety of valuable services. He is dedicated toward inclusive programs for people with disabilities and all people that need us the most. Scott provides training and support to community-based organizations, parent workshops, and expanded learning programs for youth development practices, trauma-informed and responsive systems, and community resiliency practices. He is a member of almost every cohort Thrive has to offer, and we are so grateful to have him as part of our team. And I'm going to turn it over to our great friends and partners, Emiliano and Scott. Please join me in welcoming them here today.
Thank you so much, Danielle, for the introduction. And hi, Scott. Haven't seen you today. Hi, everybody.
And as Emiliano, you get ready to share some of the slides. We don't have many, y'all. I just want to start with a moment of just absolute gratitude. Danelle, Aaron, the entire team at North Valley Community Foundation and Thrive, from Aaron to Rich and Yvonne, Christina, Matt, Chow, all the presenters, and then of course our amazing video diaries of Robert, Norma, and Santi. A lot of amazing inspiration going on, and just so humbled to be here. And yeah, here's me and my family, right? Having fun, doing our thing. And Emiliano, I know you had a certification in training today. Everything has been so infused and has linked together intentionally. And our idea, y'all, was to kind of display the iceberg, and we had no clue that they were showing the iceberg, right? So this is the top of the water, right? This is me, I'm smiling, my family, my beautiful children, my amazing wife, one of my heroes, doing what we love. And yet, you know what? Some of this is BS because there's so much more we've been through. Y'all don't know what I've been through, and I don't know what you've been through unless we share, right? My wife's cancer battles and constant scares, my difficulties in life and the various traumas. So we live this blended life of success and inspiration, and also sometimes hidden traumas. And I just want to validate, we all have these stories and none of us are alone. The experiences might be different, and yet we are so much more tied together. And so, yeah, here we are, the smiling faces, but wow, is there a whole lot more behind the scenes. And I really think that people like y'all on this space and amazing supportive people in my life saved my life when I was in a really tough time and dark time. And so thank you for the work you do. And thank you for creating spaces and opportunities every day for others. And we're really going to get into why taking time to care for ourselves is so important. Because wow, if we don't do that, we're not going to be able to keep moving and moving the needle forward. And Emiliano, my dear friend, you are such an ambassador. I appreciate you. I thank you so much in partnering with me in this space. And I'm going to pass it to you.
Thank you so much, Scott. I will echo everything you said regarding acknowledging all the people present in the room. And I also feel so humbled and honored to be here. I will keep following a little bit. Scott leads, presenting a little bit more about myself and my family here in Chico. As Dinits share, I'm from Argentina, but I've been living here for the last 9 years, and I started forming my family here. And also, like Scott said, this is kind of the tip of the iceberg, right? This is the face that we show in the social media and that kind of things, but it's a lot more that comes into the real picture of who we are. And something that I would like to share out of here right away. You guys see my daughter. You can see her in the bike there on the top right. That was the first day, just a couple of weeks ago, when she learned to ride the bike without the training wheels. Exciting moment. When she was born, almost 6 years ago now, she was born with a problem in one of her lungs, but we didn't know at the time that she was born. And 6 days later, we ran into an episode where she ran out of oxygen, and we have no idea what was going on. And the situation got really serious, and it's just in a matter of seconds, maybe a couple minutes. And thank God we were able to rush to the hospital in a total emergency mode. You know, red lights against traffic, everything goes. And in the second that we arrived to the hospital, we called ahead of time, and there were a team of 15 people waiting for us to receive her and give her care right away. The doctor of that day that was on call, she showed up 9 minutes after we arrived to the hospital. Wherever she was doing at home, and I don't know if she's here in this room, I don't know her name, about 9 minutes after we arrived to the ER, at Enloe, the doctor showed up. And that for me was so mind-blowing to know that there are individuals in this community so committed to serve other people in need, to stop. I cannot imagine what it means to leave, drop everything that you have in your hands, run to the car and get to the hospital to help someone else. It was a beautiful experience. Very challenging, of course. But after that, 3 hours later, my daughter in a helicopter going to UC Davis, and we lived inside the hospital for 2 months, being there with my daughter. At the time, beyond all the challenges that we were facing, I really got the chance to live inside the facility and get to know all these people who are fully dedicated to the work that they do. And I really, truly learned to appreciate them, value what they do, and also they influence me and inspire me to do more, to know that there was more that I can give to my community, to be a better member in this community. So I just want to share that little story with you guys, because it's in a way, because I know that many of you will feel identified with that story. And this is a way also to thank you for the things that you do every day. And don't forget that you are changing lives just by clocking in and out in those 8 hours a day. A huge difference. I'm gonna go with you, Scott.
So we wanted to go with a little bit of gratefulness for y'all. Let's not overlook that your game changes every day. So we went with a little bit of Mother Teresa. We shall never know all the good that a simple smile can do.
That will be, nunca sabremos todo el bien que una simple sonrisa puede lograr.
Kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless.
Palabras amables pueden ser cortas y simples, pero sus ecos no tienen fin.
We ourselves feel that what we are doing is just a drop in the ocean, but the ocean would be less because of that missing drop.
Nosotros creemos que lo que estamos haciendo es una simple gota en el océano, pero el océano sería menos sin esa gota.
you know, it really does start with you and instantly begins with all of us, right? That's what we're hearing. It's what we've heard from everyone else. We don't always need, and we shouldn't always have to have the answer. And Santi and so many other people on their videos talked about fixing. We don't need a fix, y'all. One of the best things we can do is be in the present moment and be our best self and be present and be the leader and the person we want to be. John Kabat-Zinn, a long time ago, I think that book saved my life. And I'm going to quote the title: "Wherever you go, there you are." And sometimes, y'all, it's as simple as that. But quite often, wherever we go, we're not really there. So how can we be where we are more often? You know, and what we want to talk about is what we can do every day. You know why? Because I'm going to be real, y'all. I love this summit. It has been incredible. The last one was incredible. And we found out that Aaron was actually going to get some testing done. And here now we see the results, and hallelujah. It was a battle, and yet he is here, right? And that's a privilege and a blessing, because some people don't make it to the other side. And so these healing summits are so important, right? And yet let's call it like it is. We can't wait for a healing summit to take care of ourselves. We can't. We don't have the time to not take the time to be there for ourselves and each other. Let's start taking the time more often every day. We don't need Chow to lead us in an experience. Yes, we do, Chow, but we don't need that. You know why? Chow's on YouTube. You could do a 2-minute session at your workstation in the day, right? We don't need one of the best music therapy people in the world to guide us. We can do that our own by just banging the drum at our desk. So how are we infusing this more in our workday? And we want to reflect on leadership and what we're doing and when, so we are the type of leader we want to be. Because I know when I'm not, and I don't like the Scotty I am when I'm not the leader that I don't want to be, right? I'm not the positive Scotty in this and that, you know? And I don't want to have a Will Smith episode where I lose my control and I display something I can't display. Because y'all, I've been spit at, I've been discriminated against, right? I've been told things that I don't want to hear. And by being calm and present, it helped me respond the way I needed to and wanted to, right? Emiliano, passing it to you, brother.
Yeah, I just want to keep expanding on what you're sharing. When we think in the word leader, some of us might don't feel identified with that word, because we tend to think in the word leader when it comes along with the title that you hold within your organization. If you're a supervisor, a lead, a manager, a director, a CEO, whatever there's your title, we associate the word leadership with those titles. But I think that the word leadership goes beyond that. If we take the word outside of the organization, who are the leaders in our community, in our societies? And I recently heard that we consider leaders those who have followers. So if I have followers, I'm considered to be a leader. No followers, no leader. And I found that can be hold true to some level, to some extent. But I also think that the real power and responsibility of these people who have followers is that they influence all these people. They have the power to influence more people, right? But when it comes to the personal level, the question to me is that, do I have power of influence with the people that I interact with? Or in other words, where do I have that? Where can I exercise that power of influencing people? So I don't know about you, Scott, but the first thing that comes to my mind is like at my house, as a father, as a husband, I influence the people who live in my household.
So true, Emiliano. And right, just think about leadership, everyone. It's not a title, although too often we think leaders think it is because of their titles sometimes. And it's not a task or a duty. You're not just a leader when you're facilitating or training a new employee or guiding a client or a student through paperwork or whatever it might be. You're a leader the moment Johnny or Susie or Monique or anyone walks into your door and you see them, right? Because maybe Johnny was bullied. Maybe he witnessed domestic violence. Maybe he lost his homework. Maybe, right? And we have the power to instantly, with one interaction, with one smile, change the day and show kindness and guide. And that is leadership in the moment every single day, y'all.
Leadership in every single interaction, right? There is every single point of contact with the other human being is a moment that we can influence each other. And that is kind of the concept of leadership that I like to embrace, because that gives me power and responsibility for the way that I interact with everybody, not only with my coworkers, the people that I serve, people in my family, but also people in the community. Simple interactions, even when I'm in the supermarket, through a kind word or not so kind word, I'm creating different type of influences. So I can choose to exercise that power and that responsibility in a way that I appreciate people and I create a positive influence on them. Or unconsciously or letting myself go with the circumstances or my emotional state, I can create relationships and influences that I depreciate people. So I just want to be aware and conscious of that. And I think that the very first step to bring awareness and start doing this work is to realize how I show up when I am at best in this role of leadership, exercising this power and this responsibility, and when I'm not, and what triggers each of those different states. So with Scott, we have designed a little activity to bring a little bit of reflection into this point. Scott, would you like to introduce the activity, or you want me to do it?
You can introduce it. I just want to say, really take a step back, right? Be willing to open up. We had such an amazing experience that built trust and community today with each other. All right. And so think about your day, your life, etc., and how we show up. Right. And then Emiliano is going to guide us through just thinking about two different type of leaders we might be at times. We know life, there's a lot of gray. And yet let's just focus on the leader we want to be and maybe sometimes the leader we don't want to be. And that creates the value, the reasons why, and the importance of taking care of ourselves so we can be the leader we want to be more often.
Right on. So for this little activity, it's similar to what we just did with the musical instruments. You can go back to the kitchen, the closet, or in the office items. And this time I would like to ask you to grab two different items, two objects. One of them is going to represent when you are at your best, how that looks like. What is the connection that you find with that particular item? And the other item is going to be, what is that item that represents when you are not at your best, exercising your leadership role? Right on? So let's give about a minute, stand up, look around, and don't overthink. I'm good overthinking, so I know what I'm talking about. Just go with it, with your intuition. What might represent you at your best as leader, and what might represent you when you're not at your best as a leader?
Try to find it. I'm ad-libbing. I'm adding a cheat code. If you really have something you want and you can't find it, you can draw it. Sorry, Emiliano, I'm adding a little cheat code, but hopefully you can find it.
I like that. For those of you who are already finding some of these objects, I will invite you to put them, maybe share them in the screen. We have a lot of variety already. I love it. And I wonder all the stories and the associations behind each of those. Right on. It seems that at least most of you already have chose those two. So what we're gonna invite you to do is to go to breakout rooms. And let me share my screen very quick just to talk a little bit about the breakout room. But I would love to invite you to go to the breakout room, and we're gonna have 2 steps in the breakout room. There's gonna be 2 or 3 people per room. So first, I want each of you to take about a minute, minute and a half, try to be concise with your sharing, but share with the other people in your room why you chose each element and some characteristics that come along with those elements that you reflect upon. Okay? So take your time and do both elements that you chose. After you're done sharing, then the other 2 or the other individual listening to you is going to reflect back to you. This reflection back doesn't need to be, you don't not necessarily need to agree with the individual or disagree. It's just reflect backs can be something like something very short that you learn. You can repeat a phrase that they use that it was impactful for you, or anything that you feel appropriate. But the goal here is to make sure that you make them feel heard, seen, and felt as they were sharing. That is the whole goal for this. Okay, so once we're done with that, we pass to the next person. We're gonna do it kind of quick. It's only 2 or 3 people per room, so we're gonna take 6 minutes total in the breakout rooms. Scott, do you want to add anything, or anybody has any question that would like
to do it? I love it. Have fun, y'all. Be open with each other. We'll see you in a bit. So we were just getting out of a space, sharing and reflecting via an object. When we're at our best and thoughtful leadership, and maybe when we're not where we want to be. We'd like to invite just a few people to share, were there any aha moments, whether it's humor, whether it was a validation, or anything that came to mind when you were reflecting on the object and leadership, and just quickly share out. Let's get 1 or 2 people to share that out before we move on.
God, I can share.
Okay.
Go, Jessica, and then we have Annie with her hand. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah, I think something I realized when we were sharing is that I felt validated when it was very easy to find an object when I'm not in great leadership. And it took me an extra second to think about, like, what is it like when I'm really in good leadership? And I think that for me, it's very obvious when I'm not in great leadership, because I just get short and less responsive. And when I was sharing that with my partner, she was like, that's exactly what I was thinking about when I'm like that. And we kind of just shared like our best techniques for trying to be in our best leadership at all times, and how to recognize how to get back to that when we're not doing well.
Thank you. And I'm so curious, what did you choose?
I chose a speaker for when I'm not doing great, because I get like kind of loud and I bark and I'm less responsive. I'm less able to hear people. And when I'm in good leadership, I picked a water bottle because I can talk to people and be more responsive and drink all the water I do every day.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Jessica, for stepping up and sharing. Annie, go ahead.
So I picked for when I'm in good leadership. I have a rock that has this wonderful quote on it. You must give up the life that you planned in order to have the life that is waiting for you. And the rock is, I'm solid. I'm forging forward, and I'm good with people, and I'm good for them. The thing I picked when I'm not is a jigsaw puzzle, because I'm more scattered, little pieces everywhere, and I'm not a unit.
Right. Thank you, Annie, for sharing. How many of you feel identified with some of the things that we have been hearing so far? The speaker, the jigsaw puzzle. Thank you.
Shelly, do you want to share? I think I saw a hand up. Feel free to just unmute yourself and go ahead.
We also have Tracy. I don't know if you changed your mind. Or go ahead.
I was just raising my hand that I could identify, but it was interesting that my partner, who was also a Shelley, her and I kind of identified, and what my things were, like this little diamond for when I'm good, and this crumpled up tissue for when I'm not. And we, throughout the conversation and reflecting, both of us were kind of making a point of how sometimes our external environment reflects how our internal selves are feeling. So that was interesting.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing.
You know, and we know, you just mentioned external environments. Like if we lived in the world we always wanted to see, everything would always be great, and we never have the slogan, we woke up on the wrong side of the bed and all these things, right? And yet we know there are challenges. There are things that come up every day. Small things, big things. The world, life is amazing, is wonderful. And life is also unplannable. And for lack of better language, life sucks sometimes, right? And that's okay. And it's okay not to be okay. And it's also to be okay when we're not okay and there's a lot of crazy stuff, right? Aaron earlier said when we're going through tough times, and I'm paraphrasing, help somebody, right? Get out there if it's safe to and you're able to. Let's find ways where we understand our sensations and when we're at and our triggers more often, so we catch ourselves before, because sometimes leadership changes. Maybe we turn into the hammer. Maybe we turn into the red phone and everything's an emergency and scattered, right? How are we and what are we doing in the workplace to be the leader we want to be more often? I would just love to hear, because we can't all go to the coast and drive 3 hours if you live in Chico. If you're at the coast, we can't all do the camping trip. We can't all do the 3 hour bike ride when we're in the workplace, right? But there's so many things we can do in the workplace, in the moment, in the office, in the meeting. So will people in the chat box, why not, Jen? Well, yeah, hooky, bye work. Please put some things, because we learn from each other, that you do to center yourselves to be the leader you want to be more often at work, whether it's intentionally drinking a glass of water, looking at your plant in the office. Let's start typing some things down in the chat box. And while we do that, Emiliano, maybe a 3-minute little session rather than 10, since time is ticking. If we wanted to do a little forest therapy example.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to clarify, Danielle or Erin, are we good until 05, or what is it, the time frame that we have? We'll try to be at
05 works for us.
05. Okay. I will ask everybody.
Water, smiles. Hold on, Emiliano. PBS,
Yeah.
Pause, breathe, smile, grounding, listening to a podcast, music, checking the heartbeat, right? Yeah, you feel it bubbling. Let's not reach our boiling point. No one needs to know why I'm at work stretching in the hallway for 5 seconds, right? No one needs to know why. They don't need to know, like, I'm really pissed that meeting was a waste of time. They don't need to know I'm thinking that. They just, oh yeah, I'm stretching, I'm getting it out, right? I'm drinking some water, and then I take my breath, and then I move forward with more thoughtful communication. And when I forget to do those things, right, I might have some more follow-up, catch-up communication that I need to do. That might have been, hey, my bad, let's recenter, let's have that talk again. I could have approached that differently. Emiliano.
Yeah, I would like to guide you through a little activity, and we're enough, we need our phones. Does everybody have your phone with you? A timer, that is what we need, a timer. Can you set a timer for 3 minutes? Can each of you set a timer for 3 minutes? Don't start it yet, but let's do that little work for right now. Let's set a timer for 3 minutes. So this invitation is a little bit to have a very small taste of what forest therapy might look like. So I'm gonna share an invitation with you. Part of what we do at forest therapy, just to, forest therapy is usually 2.5 hours that we do an immersion in natural environments, and we follow a series of invitations. Today, I would like to bring this for you just like another tool, or just to have the experience right now. And you can choose to repeat this by yourself in a different moment if that what feels right to you. So the invitation is gonna be, we're gonna step outside because I assume that, except you, Giovanni, that I see you that you're already outside. Most of us are inside someplace. So the invitation now will be to step outside and approach the being, whatever is in nature out there that we would like to get closer by. If you can't go outside, or you don't want to go outside, and you have a plant indoors or anything that represents nature to you, just approach that being and just be curious using our senses. So take for 3 minutes, we're gonna fully engage with our senses with that being. So we can just watch every detail that we can touch it, we can smell it, maybe you can taste it, depending what you choose, right? Can be a plant, a tree, a bush, a rock, a little insect that you find somewhere, whatever feels right to you. And let's see what happens. Let's see what happens after 3 minutes of full engagement with that being, using our senses. Do you guys have any questions, or we are all ready to go? We are, eh? Okay, let's get started with the time. I'm gonna go myself too. See you guys in 3 minutes.
All right, we see people starting to come back after a 3-minute mini session.
People are starting to come back. So how was that experience? Did you all went outside and engaged for 3 minutes with your full attention using your senses? Marianne, go ahead, please share how was your little experience, your 3 minutes.
I went and spent time with this aloe plant that I have outside that I moved to the mountains with this plant and it nearly died. And I saw now that it has new growth coming out now that I'm back in Chico. And I gave it some water and it just felt good that this plant that I love is not dead. Because I brought it back thinking maybe it's dead and it's alive. So that was a lovely thing to see.
Nice. Thank you, Marianne, for sharing. Anybody else would like to share your little experience, your little 3 minutes experience?
Like to, if that's okay. Oh,
No, go ahead.
Go, Blaze, and then you, Norma.
thank you. I'll be quick. I found a little snail underneath a leaf on the holly tree. And then there's also some flowers that are growing in our new backyard that I didn't know what they were before, but they're actually, I think they're called Spanish bluebells or something like that. And they're starting to bloom. And so I was really happy to see their buds about to come out with the flowers.
Thank you for sharing. Go ahead, Norma.
So I was pretty excited about this activity because I was actually intentional. And so I took my shoes off, my socks off, and I walked on the grass. And it was just me and the grass grounding. So I was interacting with the grass and it just really felt really good. And I don't know, I feel like a little kid again. So it was really cool. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Norma. And you, for what I see in the chat, you weren't the only one barefoot on the grass. Thank you guys for sharing on the chat
Julie
too.
that said focused on a fabulous pine cone in the warm sun.
The last thing I would like to say about forest therapy is that there's a lot of research that show us that spending time, meaningful time outside, really improves our health, our well-being, our mood, our blood pressure. It boosts the immune system. And when if you have the opportunity to participate in a forest therapy walk, being guided through the process with a group of people, the connection, the bonding, what happens there, it can be potentially very magical in the moment and also beneficial for your health. We are in the last couple minutes.
And Emiliano, I want to say, I did forest therapy with Emiliano, and I know our time is almost up. And we passed it to the amazing Chow. It is so worth it if you can do it. I did it with my amazing best friend, my wife, a coworker, and other amazing community members. Some I knew, some I didn't. And we were fully immersed in a 2-hour, I'd say it's a hybrid of a guided and self-guided experience. And what we saw with Emiliano by the Sacramento River, it was such a spiritual experience. There was a giant bird. I'd like to say it was a hawk, y'all. It was probably a vulture, I'll admit, but it looked gorgeous to me at the time. And it was standing on a tree with its huge wingspan fully out, just standing there, full wingspan out. And just to have that immersed experience. And then me taking that experience into the workplace to have these 3-minute mindful moments. You know, you can do this downtown, and rather than hearing, maybe you feel, oh, I'm going to hear people yelling in the street or the siren or the cars. If you immerse yourself in that tree, all of a sudden you start hearing the wind through the leaves, you start seeing the birds nest, you start hearing the birds chirp. It's amazing what it can do and to shift your reality and show you there's another truth. So, Emiliano, are we ready to pass it on? And Danelle and Aaron, I just want to say one thing. If people will do this in the chat, you can, these are just a little debrief close in this space, y'all, because let's not sweep today's lessons and reminders and values under the rug. Let's do something about it, okay? So with your head, something you learned or you're thinking. With your eyes, something you're envisioning or that you saw. With your heart, something you're feeling. Or with your feet, or if you're in a wheelchair, with your wheels, something you're walking away or rolling away with. Let's type that in the chat box. Head, eyes, heart, feet, or wheels, and just a little thing in one of those areas that you're taking away from not our session, any of the sessions from today. And that'll debrief our space. Emiliano, I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to what's next. And I'll pass it to you for a final word.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you too. And thank you so much, everybody, for engaging with the activities, with the presentation, sharing, open up yourself for the experience. And thank you so much to all the Thrive team for having us here. Such an honor. Thank you.